Thank you very much. The gentleman with me right now has been described by the Associated Press sports editors as Mr. Charisma, Mr. Electricity, Mr. Excitement. I could go on and on and on about the adjectives they have put in front of this man's name. Though the only thing I can say about him, he is truly, in fact, the American dream, Dusty Rhodes. And you got Jerry Lawler.
Gun Soler, the greatest commentator in the world, my main man. Greatest commentator, greater than Howard Cosell, been with me on many occasions. Is here live with me because a lot of people want to see him, want to see his picture on the tube, want to see his mug. Jerry Lawler, it has happened. All the time you've been there talking about you being the king of wrestling, talking about you are the man of the hour, talking about how sweet you are, talking about how good you are, talking about your army, talking about your military record, talking about everything. The only thing you cannot talk about is the American dream, because you have not felt the power of the American dream. The last time I was in Memphis, Tennessee, I called you out. Thousands of people called Jerry Lawler out to come meet the American dream. Come meet the last surviving hero. Come meet Mr. Charisma, Mr. Excitement, 270 pounds, a sweet soul. And you did not come. But now as time's gonna happen, I want all my blacks. I want them to bring ribs, chicken. I want to bring checkered tablecloth. I want to be there early. I want to be festivities. I want a picnic. I want a spectacle. I want them all there, all the races, creeds, and colors, to see me beat Jerry Lawler and put an end to his foolishness, his bad mouth and his stuff. I'm going to beat him bad, take him down. Memphis is ready for the dream, the American dream, the last surviving hero, the meanest man ever seen. And right here for the last 10 seconds, I want a shot for your cameras of my $1 million smile with Gun Soler.
Don't forget that big victory party at the Admiral Bimbo.
Oh, that is the American dream. The last surviving hero, Dusty Rhodes, and he will be here tomorrow as he takes on in the second half of that big double main event, Jerry the King Lawler. And here he comes with his ringside attendant, Mickey Poole. So I might say this to Mr. Lawler, you better have some of those sympathy tears lined up for Jerry Lawler, because when the American dream with that 270 pounds, which is about a 40-pound weight advantage over you, King, comes in here into Memphis town, he's looking for one man, and that is you, friend. You see, you like what you see, all right?
If you keep wearing that, it'll probably come back in style one of these days. Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Dusty Rhodes. I just heard his interview, 270 pounds of sweet soul and all that. Like he said, I can talk about everybody, but I can't talk about him too much because I haven't felt the, what do you say, I haven't felt the power of the dream. I see. Well, it's true, I didn't know a whole lot about Dusty Rhodes. And you know, I like to make a practice of knowing as much about my opponent as I possibly can. So you know what I did?
There is no telling.
I got some friends of mine that's Mormons, you know. So I called them, and I had them check back in, and I found out a little bit about Dusty Rhodes. I had them check on Mr. Rhodes' roots here, see? And they sent me just a little quick, and it's not real detail because they didn't have a whole lot of time, you know.
Yeah.
But they just kind of checked back into the man's life history. So I just, you know, real quick, because I want to let everybody out there know a little bit about this American dream, the last surviving hero. Everybody wants to know about heroes,
Certainly.
man. Everybody's got to have a hero, don't they, Lance? Sure, baby. Let me tell you just a little bit. Let me just check this down. Now, did you know, look at this. The name Rhodes is actually of Polish descent. Did you know that?
Sure.
Yeah, that's where Dusty's original ancestors, they migrated over to Spain and then England. And from there, his great-great-great-grandparents actually came across in the Mayflower. Did you know that?
No, I really
He had an aunt that came across in a canoe, but that's another story. We'll tell you about that later on. Then from there, it says here that from the year 1781 until 1927, the Rhodes family, this is what it says now. This is legitimate, man. The Rhodes family was a group of ugly, obnoxious, irritable, drunken, vicious, nasty, and corrupt people. And those were the good points. That's the good point.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're just not going to worry about that. We're going to kind of skip over that. We're going to get down into Dusty a little bit more recent past.
That would be nice.
He had it. Let's start with his great uncle. That's his uncle Back Rhodes. Now, he was born in 1883, and when he was born, a terrible thing happened. He lived, see? But now, he wasn't, you know, he had a lot of nice relatives. He wasn't the kind of guy that grow on trees. As a matter of fact, he was hanged from one, and his funeral was the first one where they actually threw a bouquet to the crowd, as his uncle Back Rhodes. Now, then came Dusty's grandfather, Bumpy Rhodes. He was born in 1904, and he went, this is the truth, don't listen to the cameraman, man. He went on to become the town drunk of New York City. He passed away in 1931. His pardon came through just after the warden threw the switch, see? But before he died, he left a son, and that was Dusty's father, Gravel Rhodes. This is all the truth, man. The Mormons sent me this.
Yes.
See, Gravel was born in 1922, and he had a lifetime ambition to get into pictures, and he finally did. The one down on the post office walls. You've all seen those. Mm-hmm. That's right. His Dusty father set a good example for him. He never got married. But in 1939, Gravel, that's Dusty's father, met Dusty's future mother, Virginia Blankenship. That's right, her name was Virginia. They used to call her Virgin for short, but not for long. In 1943, she became, can you say that word or should you say in a family way?
That's fine. That's
okay,
fine.
Anyway, you know, she thought she was going to have a baby, but the doctor thought she had a malignant tumor. Anyway, it turned out they were both right, so they named it Dusty Rhodes. When Dusty was born, his father immediately hired a lawyer to try to find a loophole in the birth certificate. And this is, see, it goes right down. This is when he was a very unruly child. He used to go down to his mother's place of business, turn the red light off. Then when he was 5 years old, he was playing jacks. Jacks are better to open. He was a mess, wasn't he, man? When he was 7 years old, his parents moved away and didn't tell Dusty where. So in 1956, he finally graduated from East High School in Trimble, Texas. Wasn't bad enough that he was the meanest kid in school, but he also had a perfect attendance record, see? Made it worse. And in 1957, our man, the dream, Dusty Rhodes, enrolled in Texas Tech University. But he was weeded out of college because they caught him smoking it later on, see? Then 1959, Dusty Rhodes turned to sports. After a brief job as a lifeguard in a car wash, he finally turned to sports, and he first tried his luck at boxing. Dusty Rhodes started out as a boxer.
Didn't know that.
That's the truth. Look, the Mormons said this. He had to give it up because he had bad hands. See, the referee kept stepping on him. And he got knocked down so many times that he sold advertising space on the soles of his shoes. So finally, in 1962, Dusty Rhodes began his illustrious wrestling career. And he started at the bottom, and he stayed there ever since. And he's so popular, he's just right now, it says he's about as popular as cockroaches in the ghetto. And that brings us up to right today, Dusty Rhodes are going to be here, and they summed it all up. The Mormons summed it up by saying, if it's true the good die young, then Dusty Rhodes will live to be 120 years old. Now that's the kind of man that calls himself the American dream. He's the one that said, I've never felt the power of the dream. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Rhodes. We're going to see what kind of power you got to be dishing out. What kind of power I got to feel, we're going to find out come tomorrow night. Because you call yourself a dream and you call yourself a hero, you're looking right now at the true realization of American dream. I'm what the girls dream about at night. I'm what the little kids dream about growing up to be like. I am the king. Don't worry about the power of the dream. Worry about the power of the king, Dusty Rhodes. Tomorrow night, brother, me and you, we're going to see who comes out on top, the king or the dream.
I understand every word you said here today, too.
Well, King, what about that? He comes out, Dusty, with his comments, and you come out and Dusty Rhodes' roots, huh?
You know,